Dr. Rock here. Welcome back to another Rock on Live. And I'm here with you every week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. I'm a little late today. Sorry about that. If anyone was waiting. If you're watching live, you're watching recorded, I appreciate you. And put in the comments, either now or whenever, topics you'd like to see me cover on this live stream. And I wanted to point out my shirt today. Let me move my mic. It says kale. Yeah. Kale, yeah. Because who doesn't? We just used kale in the cooking class, the cook along that I did last weekend. So if you missed out, we had our second mindful meals with Dr. Rock. We did a Indian inspired menu, and part of it was a kale salad, and we massaged the kale, which can be a very sort of mindful exercise. So welcome back. This week I'm talking about cooking, but maybe not in the way that you'd expect. That was just about cooking class. What if you don't like to cook? What if the idea of a cooking class is like the last thing you could imagine doing? Why would I spend my free time doing something like that? Um, so today I'm going to talk about uh, really if cooking is not your thing. If cooking is not your thing and you still want to eat healthy, you still want to do the right thing, but cooking is not your thing, and how to navigate that. All right. So why we'll go through I like to go through things like why, what, and how. So why is that a thing? What well, we'll just go through it. So why is cooking hard for some people? Or why is cooking not something that doesn't resonate with some people? And the biggest thing, honestly, I mean, I think a lot of people don't mind it or maybe even enjoy it, but they don't have time. Lack of time. Okay. But you may not have any experience cooking in the past. So, lack of experience, lack of skills, and lack of interest. So, you may not think that, putting food together may sound like the most boring thing to you. And, that is what it is, right? You just acknowledge that, or simply just the preference to not do that. Like, how to do it, you've done it before, but you don't necessarily enjoy it. And so the preference is convenience, right? So I will say just acknowledge those feelings. Um, I'm gonna then say that basic cooking is helpful for everyone. If your goal is to take control of your health, it's that take control piece. It's that building a skill that then helps you take that control. And it's not that you have to be an all-star chef. No, or that you have to necessarily even enjoy it. It's that you have to recognize the value that it can add to your life. And then you have to figure out how to do it in a way that feels good for you, because it can't feel like a punishment. Every time you have to go to the kitchen, if it feels like a punishment, then you're not going to want to do that. So eventually you're going to figure out excuses why you won't, cook or meal prep. I didn't have time. This thing came up. We're very good at finding ways to make excuses if it's something we inherently don't want to do. So that is, to say that it's what I talk about all the time. We employ a growth mindset. If you don't know how to cook, just add the word yet. I was just talking in my tribe last night about this, or on Monday night. We add the word yet to the end. Sometime I don't know how to cook yet, and start to look at it as an opportunity, really, as an opportunity for growth and for empowerment. Your own growth and your own empowerment, and how taking control of that one area of your life, which is your food, the food that you put in your body, how that will then have this huge impact, this ripple effect in your life, on your energy levels, on your sleep, on your mood, on your performance. But then think about how that ripples into your life. How that then those those improvements in your mood and your energy and your performance, how that ripples into all the people that you are connected with in your life, all the work that you do, and the impact that that work has. So that's how getting past that aversion of that story that you tell yourself. It's really your mindset. It's that story you tell yourself. I'm not someone who cooks. I don't enjoy cooking. I don't like doing that. If you tell yourself that enough, or even a little bit, right? You believe it. It'll be true. It'll be true. But what if you said, cooking's not my interest, my big interest, and I'm open to learning a couple things if it can help me in all areas and aspects of my health and my life. Hmm. All right. So hopefully now I've now I've said, okay, you came and to watch this like, oh, I'm not interested in cooking. I can't cook. I don't cook. And here I am trying to convince you, no, no, you should cook. I'm not going to do that for the rest of this, right? I really actually do want this. You can hear my dog, sorry. Forgot to put him in the garage. Or the backyard. Sorry about that. He's protecting the house. He's doing his job. So I'm going to talk about the what. Like, what are the considerations for navigating your food environment, and how, if you don't have a propensity to cook, like, how might you still optimize that food environment? So it goes back to choice. I would say it's a choice to dis, you know, to employ basic cooking or not. And when I say basic cooking, really simple things like learning how to use a slow cooker or to make chili, for example, or maybe just a handful, like a sheet pan recipe where you just throw a bunch of stuff on a sheet pan and bake it and some seasoning. Like these are very, very basic. These are things you can put together in 30 minutes sometimes, and if you use the right spices and seasonings, it tastes pretty good. So I love, for this type of cooking and recipes, I love this YouTube channel, and Dylan and Reba, his wife, Reeves, they have Well Your World. So that I highly recommend that for his recipes and just really how to put together food pretty quickly and easily. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be really, really simple. And okay, even then, how might you navigate your food environment without cooking? So I think a lot of us default to, myself included. I used to do this more often than not, just getting delivery because delivery is so easy. And now it's become even easier, right? There are a plethora of apps and ways in which I can get anything delivered to me. And seemingly healthy things too, right? Like now I can search, plant-based, and there'll be plant-based burgers and plant-based pizzas, and they're still burgers and pizzas with, faux cheese and faux meat and all the salt and saturated fat and all the things that come with it. So not necessarily healthier. I mean, you get a salad, obviously, at a restaurant. Very good salads, very amazing salads, but also will be dressed in oil and things. And like, so, in terms of what's being put in at the restaurants in general, they have an incentive to, well, they want you to enjoy the meal. They want you to come back. And so salt and fat and sugar are easy ways, very easy ways to hit those pleasure centers. It's the food industry knows this, the restaurant business knows this too. And so ordering in is, it's unfortunately part of the problem for everyone, right? Because it's adding to our chronic disease epidemic. That's not across the board. There are restaurants where you can get, very healthy choices, but I'd say that's unfortunately like the minority. If you have places that you can go to and they offer whole unprocessed food, with whole ingredients, then that's great. Um, and for many people, that can be cost prohibitive. To eat food like that is delivered is very expensive. Um, so that may not be an option. There are meal delivery services. They're popping up, plant-based meal delivery services that are less expensive than like ordering from a restaurant, and probably definitely healthier and higher quality in that sense. The one I like that I use, it's not an endorsement or anything, and but Thistle, which is expanding to various places, but they deliver like plant-based meals. Um, it's sometimes the oil and sodium is a little, bit better than a restaurant though. Um, but may not be appropriate for everyone depending on your medical condition. Um, yeah, so meal delivery services. And what if you're cooking at home, like it's the things I was mentioning. It's like putting things in the slow cooker, putting, oh, that's the how. Sorry. I'll get to that. Um, Yeah, okay. And then the how is that? Like, how do you do this? How do you practically like eat healthy with minimal cooking effort? So, this is something I'd struggled with for a long time and only now have done more consistently, both for myself and for my family, is meal planning. And the thought of meal planning, it still does kind of makes me groan a little bit. And God, it's so much easier to execute if you have a plan. This is true for anything in life, right? And so I'll tell you this, like you could take 5 minutes on Sunday and just ask yourself, what am I going to have for my whatever main meals you eat, for each day? And just a little grid and fill it in. And doing that, it just take you a few minutes. Make it easy too. Like have the same choices, like a rotating wheel. I mean, I have the same thing. I have the same oatmeal, although I've been changing it up recently. I started making my oatmeal that I normally would eat like just as oatmeal with berries. I started making it into cookies. So I put less liquid, and then I like make it into like a cookie dough, and then I'll have to put that together and post that. It's really good. I've just been eating cookies every day. Um, yeah, but eat the same main meal, or make it easy on yourself. You don't have to eat a different thing every day. If there's certain things you like, put them on rotation and just, actually like that's where the opportunity to prep things is. So if you eat the same thing for a few days or for breakfast every day or whatever, you could just make a bunch of it on one of those days and then just eat it the next few days. So that's an opportunity for meal prepping. But meal planning is really just asking yourself, what am I going to have at every meal? And you can kind of make a plan. You can be like, what, I need to buy some stuff. Um, when you go to the grocery store, um, I say focus on bringing the good stuff into your house. Or don't even go to the store. Order through an app because it's much easier to avoid temptation on the app. And honestly, there's an annual delivery charge. And then, generally you give a tip too. So there is some fee associated, but it's saving you time, and it's certainly saving you time. And if you're saying, I don't have time to cook, um, this is one way to get back some time. And it's preventing you from being in that circus that is the grocery store, where they have like put all these bright colors on these seemingly like pseudo healthy foods, stamping it that it's plant-based and gluten-free and non-GMO and great. It's great, but it's got 4 kinds of sugar and 3 kinds of oil. So you can avoid that circus by just shopping in the app. They're trying in the app now to like show you more of the circus, but you can just shop your past purchases. This is generally what I do. Uh and just avoid that temptation. And you're not even bringing that food in the house, or it's less likely. Okay. And then when you are shopping, they sell a lot of prepped stuff. Like they sell prepped veggies, frozen prepped veggies. Like, these are the things you buy, and you can just throw a bag of prepped veggies, like stir fry veggies, into a pan, and then have some tofu and some sauce. Either make a sauce or put together a very simple sauce. Even like a purchased store sauce, which is probably gonna be higher in, like, sugar and salt, is probably better than putting that meal together than eating at a restaurant, right? In terms of cost and health. So, uh, yeah, that is to say smart grocery shopping. And then there are kitchen gadgets. We have too many appliances, but if you have a slow cooker or an instant pot, that is just a great way to prep, to put together a meal, and then just to prep it like a big batch of something. And there is a bit of a learning curve. I was afraid to use my instant pot. I don't, like it sat in a box or it sat in a cupboard for a couple of years. And then the pandemic came and everyone was at home and more, and experimenting. So it's like, why don't we take that out? Um, and so, yeah, now it sits on our counter because we use it so regularly. We make beans in it, we make rice in it, we make, stews and chili in it, all sorts of things. You can saute. So, and it's just quick. It's quick, and there's one little pot to clean up. So cleanup is easy too. Blender is another thing, high speed blender. Um, make smoothies. I used to make a lot of ice cream, and now I use the Ninja Creamy. Anyway, that's an aside. This is not a live stream about how many appliances you should buy. Please don't, please don't go out and buy a bunch of, but those are probably the Creamy as a new addition, but I love it. So that could be a separate live stream. Um, yeah, and then you learn some basic cooking skills. Like, it doesn't have to be. If you want to, if you know, I go back to your mindset when you go into it too. Like, why do people love cooking? Like, if you're someone who doesn't like cooking, have you ever asked yourself, like, why is it that some people love it? And it's just like anything else. It's anything else that we look at as a chore, um, that other people don't necessarily look at as a chore. How many people look at exercise as a chore? How many people look at healthy eating as a chore? And so is that way you're looking at cooking as a chore. It's not going to become your new favorite pastime, but it's also an opportunity to say, well, what is it that other people are getting out of it? And so I can tell you for myself, what I enjoy about cooking is how I get out of my head, and allow myself to get lost in that experience. And all the different actions, the chopping and the smelling of the herbs and everything about it. It's a very sensory experience. And then just the process of creating something, of manifesting something right before your eyes as it changes, tasting it, and then, that experience itself is a very mindful experience. It's a And I think most people who love cooking, I've talked to so many people, it is their experience. They get out of their head, they get lost in this experience. Lost in a good way, meaning they get, I think what is described as the flow state. And so that may not happen for you, but you can ask yourself, how can I be a little bit more curious about this? How can I allow myself to just experience this and see what it is, I'm resisting about it? What might be fun about this? What might be enjoyable? What might be the experience of getting lost in this and creating something and allowing myself to? And maybe that means, being intentional about learning a few things so that you can think about it less when you do it. When you started to drive, everything you had to think, I'm changing lanes, I'm all these things. And now, if you've been driving for any amount of time, you don't think about these things. The same thing can happen to cooking, and then there's this ease to it. There's this ease where it allows you to experience it in a different way if you're open to that. If you know, and not everyone has to be open to that, but I tell you that just to have you reconsider if you have these notions about whether cooking is your thing. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. And please, like I said, um, leave in the comments if you have any suggestions for future live streams. And visit my website if you're interested in working with me. I help people take control of their health. This is what I help people do. I help them realize that healthy habits and behaviors are not a chore, they're actually a gift in your life, and they're an opportunity to live the life that you want to live the life that is fulfilling for you. And yeah, we're making it happen every day. It's so exciting that I get to do this. So you can visit my website. It's in the comments down below. You can sign up for my newsletter. I send out every Monday uh, three things: roots, reflection, awareness, activity, and kindness, opportunity. It's something you can do to be kind for the week ahead. And it's called Rock On, and it's your opportunity to rock your week. And yeah. And then I have a podcast. Speaking of which, the episode coming out next week, depending on when you watch this, we just have an episode coming out with Dr. Michelle Seeger, who is the person I learned this whole idea of looking at healthy behaviors as a chore versus a gift. So I'm super excited about that. She's a big inspiration for why we call the show the Health Feast, actually, because so many people look at good health as a chore, as a punishment, and we wanted to juxtapose it with something like a feast, because a feast is something indulgent. A feast is something that you experience with all your senses, and it's abundant, and it's joyous, and it's communal. You're experiencing it with a lot of people. So that is what good health is. All right. I appreciate all of you. Until next time, rock on and live well.